Empire.
The playoff field is set, and now it's on to Black Monday. What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Football Jones podcast. I am Mike Jones. Thanks for coming back for another episode. You can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. And yes, as I said, playoff seed all in place now. Wild finish in Seattle between the 49ers and the Seahawks, with the 49ers holding on to win by inches to lock up that number one seed and get home field throughout the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles winning against the Giants to clinch the NFC East. Had the Tennessee Titans punching their ticket. Amazingly, the Miami Dolphins beating the Patriots to knock them out of the number 2 seed and into the 3 seed in the AFC, so they do not have a bye. It's going to be an interesting postseason, and we're going to get to that later in the week. That's just a quick overview. Today, the focus is Black Monday, and already 3 teams are without coaches. The Redskins and the Panthers already had fired their coaches, and Sunday night, the Cleveland Browns became the 3rd team. Freddie Kitchens, one and done. But I want to talk to longtime Dallas Cowboys beat writer Clarence Hill and get his insight on what we can expect with the Dallas Cowboys, because everybody you talk to in the league, everybody that I've checked in with, it sounds like Jason Garrett is going to be out. Jerry Jones kind of hinted that there would be a change, but did not really get into it Sunday night after they missed out on the playoffs. A team that had so many expectations. So want to talk to Clarence of the Star-Telegram there in Dallas and get his insight on what we can expect for the Cowboys, because really they're going to be one of the most sought-after jobs. I know the Redskins are trying to get things locked up with Ron Rivera. The Panthers are going to do sounds like a lot of interviews trying to find the right guy. But for right now, if Jason Garrett's fired, that job is probably one of the most coveted. And so here we go, sitting down with Clarence Hill. All right, and now I'm happy to be joined here with my buddy Clarence Hill, senior Cowboys columnist for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Chill, how you doing, man?
I am good, man. The end of a long season.
Yeah, it's ending sooner than what it's supposed to be ending, at least according to Jerry Jones' expectations and everything like that. Are you surprised, or what did you expect coming into the season for the Cowboys?
I guess when sometimes when you're around the team and you kind of believe their hype to a certain extent,
right?
And certainly based on what they did last year, and based on the things they did in off season, you expected them at least to get to the playoffs. Now whether they were going to realize Super Bowl dreams and do something they haven't done since 1995 is another story, because they haven't done it. But you expected this to be a playoff team. Nowhere did I think that this was an 8-8 team. And you look at the numbers and the numbers are so disparate. I mean, if you look at their offensive numbers, and you got a 4,900-yard passer, a 1,200-yard rusher, 2,000-yard receivers, but they're 8-8.
Right. So what went wrong? Was it indeed just coaching holding them back?
I mean, I think it was a little bit of everything. Certainly it was coaching. Certainly it was players not rising up to the occasion in key moments in big games. There's a lot of blame to be shared by all. Front office decision-making, it's funny that they changed kickers and the new kicker goes 8 for 8, I guess, and they stuck with their previous kicker too long. I mean, I think they probably lost chances in games because they stuck with their kicker too long. That would have played a huge role, a huge difference in several of those outcomes. So there was a lot of decision making, from the top, from the coaching staff, and players not living up to expectations. For whatever reason, the injuries or whatever else, you look at, DeMarcus Lawrence, who signed a huge contract in the offseason, he finished with 5 sacks.
Right.
You certainly expected more. The Cowboys expected more. They got 11 and a half sacks from Robert Quinn. But DeMarcus Lawrence, a 2-time Pro Bowler, who's, one of the top 3 paid defensive ends in the league, they got 5 sacks. They played well and played against the run well, but, you paid for sacks. You didn't play for stopping the run. You paid for impact plays, and they didn't get that.
Gotcha. Jerry seemed like he was kind of surprised last week, shocked with how things have played out. And I felt like he kind of only has himself to blame because we knew who Jason Garrett was, and he didn't make the move last offseason when he should have, and gave him another chance. And so he kind of basically set his team up to underachieve. Am I wrong on that? Or what was your take on him sticking with Jason Garrett for another year?
Well, I mean, at that point, I guess they felt the arrow was pointing up with certain situations. And certainly, they had finished 10-6. Amari Cooper came along and certainly made a huge difference for the offense. The defense was a top 10 defense. They all felt they could take the next step. They all felt the arrow was pointing up. And he was shocked and dismayed because, it's one thing for not to win the Super Bowl, one thing not to get the Super Bowl. He didn't see not making the playoffs 8-8 coming, and they severely underachieved, especially in a year when the division was awful. The Eagles were awful. The Eagles have so many injuries. They're playing with practice squad players. And if the Cowboys would have just won one other game, they're division winner. They don't lose to the Jets. Don't lose to the sorry Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't step up when it mattered most. And I guess you blame some of that on Garrett. But this team really never quit on Garrett. They never got blown out. Today, they never laid it down on Garrett. I always say it's also about the players. I mean, you got to have the right players. Something about the players have that intestinal fortitude to make things happen and step up and make it happen when it's not there. And I don't see these Cowboy players this year. They didn't win one game when they trailed.
Okay.
They were 0-8 in games they trailed at halftime. There were no fourth quarter comebacks, no comebacks at all. When they're down, they stayed down. And I guess that's on the coach, but also on the players and not stepping up. And the disappointing thing for Jerry Jones is that even though Garrett came into the season in the final year of his contract with a mandate to take the next step, he did not just sit him out there without a net. I mean, he sent him out there. He paid DeMarcus Lawrence. He paid Zeke Elliott. He played Lyle Collins. He played Jalen Smith. He traded for Robert Quinn. He went and made a midseason trade for Michael Bennett. He tried to give him weapons. He tried to weaponize him to have the best year for the Cowboys, since the 90s. Okay. And they failed miserably.
So what has to happen now? What would you do if you're Jerry Jones? You're looking at this. What's your move? Your first move now?
Oh, I mean, obviously, Jason's out of contract, so it's just a matter of making that official that you're not bringing him back and you're moving on to the next coach and you're going to go begin your coaching search. He didn't want to do that tonight. I'm sure out of respect to Jason, he wasn't going to do that after the game tonight, and he talked about, whether he has a decision to make. He wasn't going to tell us, but whenever he can do, he can make it in short order. And that's going to happen at some point. And then they're going to move on to the coaching search. The big question is that you look at all the coaches that Jerry's hired, since firing Jimmy Johnson, outside of Bill Parcells, they've not been big name coaches. He doesn't. You look at whether it's Chan Gailey or Dave Campo or Wade Phillips, even Jason Garrett. He didn't go out and get no big name hire that's going to demand control. No, he did that with Bill Parcells, but that was, for cynical folks, that was more about getting the name to legitimize the franchise so they could get money to build that stadium.
Okay.
And Bill helped them, legitimize the franchise and they built that stadium. But outside of that, who are you going to go get that can live with how Jerry does things, and will he change the way he does things to get a certain guy?
Right, and that's the question. I talked to somebody in the league or former coach who has said he told me I like Jerry, but he never goes for a strong personality coach because he wants to keep running things. It's a matter of if he wants to win a Super Bowl or if he wants to continue to run things, and it's going to be interesting to see. Is that an accurate perception? Or do you think that's kind of off base?
Well, I mean, I think it's accurate, but Jerry's always been very prominent.
Mm-hmm.
Had a prominent role for the Cowboys. I mean, his first meeting was Socks to Jocks. I mean, that's one reason why he and Jimmy, split up, because they were fighting over credit and all of that. And he didn't feel he was getting enough credit, but it's not like he ever really took a back seat to anybody, and so it's tough. And, it's funny because just me understanding coaches, usually to be a head coach, you have a strong personality. You have to have some of that in you to be a head coach. Now, I would say that some of the guys he's gotten were just happy to get a job. That probably, whether it's Wade or Campo or something like that, they didn't have strong personalities. The same way to a certain extent with Jason, but some of these guys out there who are already coaches, they all, whether it's Urban Meyer or even a Matt Rule at Baylor or some of the guys, those guys come with some personality and some strong backbone and definition of what they want and how they view the coaching job. So, it's going to be tougher and tougher to just find a meek and mild coach to run your franchise. But those are the issues out there because, I hear that Ron Rivera may be getting the job in Washington. Certainly he's going to interview on Monday, and that takes, one possible name I had of a proven coach who's gone to the Super Bowl. Is Mike McCarthy a name that should be retreaded here in Dallas? Mm-hmm. I brought up Urban Meyer. I look at Greg Roman, a guy who's a longtime assistant who's certainly, to me, worthy of a head coaching job based on what he's done in Baltimore and what he did previously in San Francisco. Eric Bieniemy, I know, the Andy Reid coaching tree has put out a lot of guys who've been successful, and Eric Bieniemy is the next man up, but I know he has a lot of fire with him. Mm-hmm. He certainly has a lot of fire and personality. He's a tough guy that would certainly put some discipline in this franchise. It just depends on what direction he wants to go. I don't know if he's going to go with a defensive coach right now. It's because you have Dak Prescott and Zeke and Amari Cooper and those guys, and you want to go forward with somebody that's going to get them going right, because that's the best part of your team.
So what do you think? Urban Meyer, he kind of dropped some hints earlier this year about how much of a dream job coaching for the Cowboys would be. Do you think that then we saw him stoked a little bit of the narrative when he was hanging up there with the Redskins in the box a couple of weeks ago, and people wondered if that was to create a little leverage with Jerry Jones. Do you feel like Urban is a guy that Jerry would actually go after, or is that more so just kind of chatter for people on the outside?
No, I think that Urban wants the job. Mm-hmm. And people close to Urban are probably trying to lobby him to get the job. I think Urban is someone Jerry will consider for sure. Mm-hmm. And whether he goes fully in that direction, I don't know. I mean, Urban has a history of only being in a place in a short time.
Right.
And so, I mean, all those things have to resolve, with Jerry and the Cowboys. But, he's a highly successful college coach who probably, as most college coaches, want to prove their chops on the next level. And, there's really nothing else for him to prove on the college level. I think he's kind of, at this point, persona non grata on the college level because of some of the issues he's had. And if he's going to coach again, it's going to be in the pros. And, he's still young enough to do it, and he still probably has fire enough to do it, and something he wants to prove on this level. If you're going to go get a guy, I want to get a proven guy.
Right.
And I want to get a guy that knows what he's doing and done this before. If you look at, I brought up some of the college, options. Lincoln Riley's always been a name around here in Dallas just because he's had so much success at Oklahoma. Matt Rule is the guy in Baylor who interviewed for the Jets job and actually turned them down last year because they wouldn't give him control over coaching. He's the guy that's going to get his name out there again. I think he's going to interview in Carolina this week or at some point soon. And he's down here in Baylor. He's done a great job. But, again, if I'm going to go with a college guy, I'd rather go with Urban Meyer than any of the other two.
Right. I agree with you. Do you feel like this roster, Dak, Zeke, would they respond well to a guy who brings in some of those college concepts and things like that? Or are they better off going with somebody like a Mike McCarthy or a proven NFL guy?
Well, I mean, I think that when you bring up college concepts, I mean, that's what everybody's doing now, and you, again, I brought up Greg Roman and the guy that replaced McCarthy, I think, is using some of those college concepts in Green Bay now. And one thing that the Cowboys got out of Matt Moore this year, the reason they made the change from Scott Linehan to Matt Moore was because he was going to use some of those college concepts and with Dak and Zeke that they had done and been successful so well in college. So I think that would be right up Jerry's alley to get somebody that was familiar with those concepts to continue to working with Dak and Zeke, because those are things that they have done so naturally and is what they've done best.
Gotcha. Okay. So one of the other, decisions they have to make is Dak's contract. Now, I feel like if you stack them up with Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, who got paid. I know Carson Wentz, they won the division. But I felt like Dak proved that he's on their level, and so you have to pay him. What kind of money, what kind of contract do you feel like he's worth?
I mean, the bottom line is, just my understanding is that if they franchise, he's going to get the franchise tag, the exclusive franchise tag. That's $33 million. So that's the baseline of any deal. So it's going to be 33 or more. Between 33 and 35 million is what it's going to be. I mean, and there was, Stephen Jones said last week he's still bullish on Dak. Jerry Jones said tonight, especially after what he did tonight, and I just think that based on what he's done and how he's played over the last 3 or 4 years, and you compare him, he compares very well to Carson Wentz and your guy in Los Angeles with the Rams. He deserves to get a similar type contract, and he's going to. And number one, that's the going rate. The thing for me, for the Cowboys, is you might well get that done, because I don't know how soon, but there are going to be new deals coming down for Deshaun Watson and new deals coming down for Patrick Mahomes that's going to take that quarterback money through the roof. And we won't be talking about 35 million. We can be talking about 40 million.
Right.
So you might well go on and bite the bullet and pay Dak 35. And to me, it is what it is, because the last guy gets paid more. If you say he's not worth what Carson Wentz is getting, then you should have paid him before Carson and Jared Goff got their money.
Exactly.
But now that Jared Goff, they've set the foundation for what it is, and so the next guy gets more money.
Yep. I feel you. How quickly do you think that Jerry's going to move on this thing?
I think that, without a respect to Jason, I think he's going to do it this week at some point. Okay. Because you have to get on with the search.
Right.
Pretty much we know he's going to move on from him. It's just a matter of making that announcement, then officially starting the search. Right now, Jason's not scheduled to talk to the media tomorrow. He may talk in years past. He's talked on Tuesday after the season finale. So we'll see if something changes between now and Tuesday. But I think that he can make the decision official pretty quickly and move on. And that's out of respect to Jason, because he's going to be in the mix for other coaching jobs. I mean, there's already been rumors that he's someone the Giants like and would want to hire for the next head coach.
Gotcha.
And as much as we kill Jason for what he's done in Dallas, it'll be interesting to see how Jason does free from Jerry Jones's rule.
Right.
Free from Jerry Jones' situation where he's so involved in everything, where he can just be a coach and have full control over everything.
Gotcha. Good deal. Well, I will let you get back to it. I know it's been a long day. You have, got more chasing to do with this coaching search and everything like that. But I really appreciate your insight. Tell everybody where they can find you online and social media.
You can find me on Twitter at Clarence Hill Jr. I'm on Instagram at Chill NFL, and I'm on Facebook as Clarence E. Hill Jr. So, and I'm at the Star Telegram, www.startelegram.com/Cowboys to get all my information on the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, Jason Garrett, and the upcoming coaches.
All right, man. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great day, and sure, I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, Happy New Year, buddy.
All right, thank you. Same to you. And that's our visit with Clarence Hill. Hope you guys enjoyed that. It's going to be interesting to see how things unfold for the Dallas Cowboys. We should know within the next couple hours or days. But it seems like the handwriting's on the wall. Jason Garrett out. And we'll see what happens the rest of the day. As mentioned, Freddie Kitchens is out in Cleveland. The Redskins have fired Bruce Allen. That was a move that had to take place. 10 years of futility. He always continued to sell himself, always had a scapegoat. First it was Shanahan, then it was the quarterback situation, then it was McLuhan, then it was Gruden. Empty seats. The fans had spoken, #fire Bruce Allen, and stadium filled with opposing fans finally caught Dan Snyder's attention. And, it's going to be interesting to see how this franchise rebounds if they can. Obviously, Ron Rivera is there, going to be there today, Monday, about the head coaching position. I've heard that Eric Schaefer has a chance to be elevated to the general manager position. We'll see if Rivera, wants to bring someone in himself, though. But for now, it's a change that had to happen. We'll see if they wind up landing Rivera or if they wind up having to go another direction. And again, more firings will probably take place today, within the next day, and we'll see where they go from here. But hope you guys have a great week. I will talk to you later this week, and we'll preview the playoffs. And again, thanks for coming back for another episode of the Football Jones podcast. You can read me at usatoday.com, follow me on Twitter and Instagram @ByMikeJones, and email me at mjones@usatoday.com.